So, for starters, it is an inherited disease. In the U.S., primarily in African Americans or people of African descent. And essentially, what happens is red blood cells take on an abnormal shape, a crescent or sickle shape, which is how it got its name. And these misshapen cells have a really hard time carrying oxygen, as red blood cells are supposed to do. And they kind of stick together. That blocks blood flow to parts of the body. What happens then? You get organ damage, and Heather mentioned some of it, joints sometimes, lungs sometimes even the brain. And in addition to that, what happens often with this blockage is what we call vaso-occlusive crises. These are excruciatingly painful crises that Heather described.
As a child, you told people you had a bad cold. What do you tell people now?
I'm honest. I tell the truth that there are days where I have to drag myself out of bed. I'm in pain every day, but there are people who say that I use my sickle cell as a crutch.
And layer on top of that this terrible stigma from childhood to adulthood. As children, is it contagious? I don't want to catch it. Why can't you come to school? Why aren't you here? You fall behind. As adults, why aren't you at work? You're lazy. So the stigma is huge.
In fact, your brother is affected as well?
Yes, my brother was diagnosed with sickle cell around age 1. And because of that, they tested me while my mother was pregnant. And I was diagnosed when I was still in her stomach.
So it's inherited.
It is an inherited disease, and there's a lot of confusion around that too. So in order to have sickle cell disease, you have to have 2 genes, right? So inherited means that it's a genetic disorder. You need 2 genes for sickle cell, 1 from each parent. If you have only 1 gene for sickle cell, it's called a trait. So let's put 2 parents together, right? Each with a trait. What can happen? And this is in each pregnancy, not for all of your kids. So if this couple gets together, they have a 25% chance of having a child with sickle cell disease. They have a 50% chance of having a child with the sickle cell trait, which means they probably